Hello everyone. So today's topic of discussion is complex numbers. So this topic, if you're a GRE aspirant or if you're a GMAT aspirant, you don't need to go through this video. This is the topic from which you get questions only in SAT exam. Okay. Now for SAT aspirants, this is the topic which is a part of additional topics. Okay, they're basically like 4 topics based upon which College Board asks you question, and the complex number is a part of the additional topic. So at the max you can expect 1 or 2 questions from this, max to max 2 questions, nothing more than 2 questions. This topic is very simple. You just need to know the very basics of complex numbers, very elementary part of the complex numbers, nothing more. And the 2 questions that you will be getting, those will be also easy questions. So this is one topic where you can actually score 100% marks. All right, so let's begin with it. Let's understand what exactly is complex numbers and what are the different type of questions that you can expect in the exam. All right, so let's start with the basics of complex numbers. Now, in order to understand what is a complex number, we first need to understand what is an imaginary number. Okay, that's the first thing that we have to do. So let me ask you a question. If I ask you what is plus minus 2 square, what is plus minus 2 square, what will be your answer to this? So if someone asks you what is plus minus 2 square, you will say that the answer is 4. You will say that the answer is 4. Plus 2 square is also 4, minus 2 square is also 4. But if I ask you the other way around, that is what is under root of 4? What is under root of 4? Now many people say that the answer to this is plus minus 2. Now remember that this is never equal to plus minus 2. Root of 4 is never equal to plus minus 2. Root of 4 is only equal to 2, remember that. Root of 4 or the principal value of root of 4 is only equal to 2. Another way of remembering this is when you talk about the under root is basically a function in maths. When you talk about the under root, remember that the function under root is only defined for non-negative numbers. It is only defined for non-negative numbers. This is how this function is defined in maths. Like you cannot input a negative number inside the root because you will not get an output. If you need an output from the under root part, you need to input only the non-negative numbers. You need to input only the non-negative numbers. Okay. So remember that root of 4 is only equal to 2. It's not equal to plus minus 2. Hence the question came that alright, fine, now you have defined root only for the non-negative numbers. What if you have a question which asks you that find out the value of root of negative 4? How can one solve this? This became a curiosity for the mathematicians that if you have under root of minus 4, how can you solve this? There has to be a way out. We need to do something for this expression. So they said, okay, if I have under root of negative 4, that means it's like negative 4 to the power half, which I can also rewrite as negative 1 to the power half into 4 to the power half. I'll simply use the basics of exponents. Negative 4 to the power half can be written as negative 1 to the power half into 4 to the power half. Now, when you talk about this 4 to the power half, this is quite simple to solve. This will simply be equal to 2. We all know this. This negative 1 to the power half was a problem. How can we solve this? What is the real value of negative 1 to the power half? So there is no real value for negative 1 to the power half. If there is no real value, if there is no real output, that means the output has to be imaginary. Because if it is not real, then it is imaginary. We only have two type of numbers, real numbers and imaginary numbers. So if the number is not real, then it has to be imaginary. There is no third thing possible. So we came to the conclusion that when you talk about negative 1 to the power half, we are going to represent this by iota, which stands for imaginary number. We are going to represent this with the help of letter I, and we're going to call this iota, IOTA. So root of negative 1 is always equal to iota. And this was the beginning of imaginary numbers. This was the beginning of imaginary numbers. So you can say that root of negative 4 can be written as 2 iota. So root of negative 4 is equal to 2 iota, and this is from where the imaginary numbers started. Now the first thing that we need to understand is the cyclicity of imaginary numbers. The first thing that we need to understand is cyclicity of imaginary numbers. If you talk about iota, that is root of negative 1. If I'm going to square both the sides, then you're going to get iota square is negative 1. If you make this into cube, then this is equal to iota square into iota, which is negative 1 into iota, which is equal to negative of iota. So iota cube is negative of iota. If you talk about iota to the power 4, that is iota squares whole square, which is negative 1 whole square, which is equal to positive 1. If you talk about iota to the power 5, then this is iota into iota to the power 4. Iota to the power 4 is equal to 1, which means iota to the power 5 will be equal to iota. If you talk about iota to the power 6, then this is iota square into iota to the power 4, which is simply equal to iota square. And what is iota square? That is equal to negative 1. If you talk about iota to the power 7, then this is iota cube into iota to the power 4, which is simply equal to iota cube, which is equal to negative of iota. And if you talk about iota to the power 8, then this is equal to iota to the power 4 whole square, which is equal to 1 square, which is equal to 1. Now what you need to realize here is that observe the cyclicity. I have iota, then I have negative 1, then I have negative iota, then I have positive 1. Again I'm starting with iota, then negative 1, then negative iota, then again positive 1. So you can see that there's a cyclicity. There's a cyclicity which is equal to 4. So any power of iota can lead you to only 4 results. Iota, minus 1, minus iota, and 1. These are the only 4 answers that you can have. They cannot ask anything else. Now what type of question can they ask you based on this concept of cyclicity? For example, they can ask you, find out the value of, or find the equivalent value of the expression, let's suppose iota to the power 731. Or they can give you the evaluate iota to the power 731, and they can give you 4 options based on that. And the only 4 options possible is iota, minus 1, minus iota, and 1. So you need to use that concept of cyclicity here. So what you will do is, what you will do is you're going to take this power, which is 731 in this case, and you're going to divide this by 4. And you're going to divide this by 4. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically find out the remainder. You're trying to find out the remainder. So 1, so this will become 4, then this is 33. Okay, let me solve this somewhere here. I need more space. So 4 and 731. So 1, you'll get 4, 33, you're going to get 8, you're going to have 32, then 11, then 2, 8, and you will be left with 3. So the bottom line is 731 can be written as 4 into 182 plus 3. 4 into 182 plus 3, which means iota to the power 731 can be written as iota to the power 4 into 182 plus 3, which can be written as iota to the power 4 into 182 into iota cube, which now I'm gonna segregate both these parts, and I can rewrite this as iota to the power 4 to the power 182 into iota cube. Again, I've used the basics of exponents. Like for example, if you have something as a to the power m into n, then this can be written as a to the power m whole to the power n. Okay. Now, the interesting part is this part will always be equal to 1 because iota to the power 4 is equal to 1. And 1 to any power will always give you 1. 1 to any power will always give you 1. Right? So this part is always equal to 1, which means you will only be left with iota cube. Which means you are only left with iota cube. And what is iota cube equal to? Iota cube is equal to negative iota. That is equal to negative iota. Now next time when you're going to get a question like this, now let me clean my board first of all. Next time when you're going to get a question like this, you don't have to do all this, it's not required. Let's suppose if I ask you find out or evaluate iota to the power 631. You don't have to go through the entire process, it's not required. What you simply have to find out is if you're dividing 631 by 4, what is the remainder? If you're dividing 631 by 4, then what is the remainder? So when you're going to divide 631 by 4, you'll get remainder equals to 3. Your remainder will be equal to 3. So iota to the power 631 is nothing but iota to the power 4 whole to the power some quotient into iota cube. Now let that quotient be any number, it does not matter. Let that quotient be any number, it does not matter because iota to the power 4 is equal to 1. And 1 to the power any number will always result you in 1. So what matters is this matters. The remainder matters. So this is again equal to iota cube, which is equal to negative iota. This is how the concept of cyclicity helps you. There are only 4 values, there are only 4 outcomes possible for any power of iota. Iota, 1, negative iota, negative 1. There is no fourth thing that is possible. So just remember the values of the first 4 powers of iota, that's it. And then use the concept of cyclicity. Okay. Second thing that you need to learn from the concept of cyclicity is sum of any four consecutive powers of iota is always equal to 0. Sum of any four consecutive powers of iota is equal to 0. For example, we started with iota, then iota square was -1, iota cube was negative iota, iota to the power 4 was iota. Add these four numbers, you get a result of 0. Iota to the power 5 was iota, iota to the power 6 was -1, to the power 7 was negative iota, iota to the power 8 was again iota. This will also be equal to 0. In fact, take any four consecutive powers. For example, you say, okay, I want to take 3, 4, 5 and 6. So take 3, 4 and take 5, 6. Minus iota. Okay, this is 1. I've made a mistake. This here it's 1. It's not iota. Iota to the power 4 is 1. And this is also 1. I made that mistake. I'm sorry for that. Yep. So take the third power, fourth power, fifth power and sixth power into consideration. Minus iota 1, iota minus 1, again it's 0. Because it's a cyclicity. The values are gonna repeat themselves after every fourth power. They will repeat. Iota is equal to iota to the power 5 is equal to the power 9 is equal to the power 13 is equal to the power 17. Similarly, iota square is equal to iota to the power 6, which is equal to iota to the power 10, iota to the power 14, iota to the power 18, and so on and so forth. Similarly, cube, iota cube is equal to iota to the power 7, then 11, and so on and so forth. There's a cyclicity of 4, that is after every fourth power, the values are going to repeat itself. So for any four powers, for any four consecutive powers, the sum will always be equal to 0. The sum will always be equal to 0. So for example, the question is, evaluate or calculate, whatever the question is, iota plus iota square plus iota cube and up to iota to the power 99. Up to iota to the power 99. Again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to divide 99 by 4. You're going to divide 99 by 4. You'll get quotient equals to 24 and you're going to get remainder equal to 3. You're going to get quotient equal to 24 and you will get remainder equal to 3. Now 24 into 4 is 96, which means up to iota to the power 96, up to iota to the power 96, you're going to have like 24 complete sets of 4 powers of iota. You're going to have 24 complete sets of 4 consecutive powers of iota. Like what I mean by complete set is that I'm considering one set to be iota, iota square, iota cube, iota to the power 4. Second set is iota to the power 5, iota to the power 6, iota to the power 7, iota to the power 8. So I'm going to have 24 complete sets. 24 into 4 is 96. Which means from iota to the power 96, if you're going to sum these numbers up, your result will be equal to 0. Because for every 4 consecutive powers of iota, the answer is 0. Sum of any 4 consecutive powers of iota leads you to 0. Which means you will only be left with iota to the power 97, iota to the power 98 and iota to the power 99. And what is iota to the power 97? This is equal to iota. 98 is iota square and 99 is iota cube. Iota and iota cube are going to get cancelled and you'll be left with answer as -1. because iota square is -1. This is the second type, or let's put it this way, this is another type of question that they can ask you. This is another thing which you need to remember. First thing is the cyclicity, that after every fourth parts the values are going to repeat itself, and the second thing is for any 4 consecutive parts the sum is equal to 0. Remember these two things. Alright, so this was the basics of imaginary numbers. This was the basics of imaginary numbers. Now, when you talk about a complex number, what exactly is a complex number? As the word goes, complex, what do you mean by complex? Complex is something which is not simple, right? So a complex number is basically a number which consists of two things. That is a real number as well as an imaginary number. A complex number is a number which consists of two things, a real number and an imaginary number. That's why it's called as complex. It is something that you cannot define on a real number line. It is neither entirely real, it's neither entirely imaginary. It's a complex one. It consists of parts of both the numbers. That's why it's called complex. Any complex number, or a general form of representing a complex number, is with the help of letter Z, and that is equal to a plus ib. That is equal to a plus ib, where a is the real part and b is the imaginary part. Where a is the real part and b is the imaginary part. For example, if you say that I have a complex number 4 plus 5 iota, if someone asks you what is the real part, so you will say 4 is the real part. If someone asks you what is the imaginary part, you will say 5 is the imaginary part. You will not say that 5 iota is imaginary, okay? 5 iota is not imaginary. Imaginary is 5. It's only 5. Iota is helping you in understanding, okay, this part is imaginary. Alright, now what we need to understand here is the algebra of complex numbers. There are 4 things you need to understand. First is, how do you add any two complex numbers, or any more than two also? How do you subtract complex numbers? How do you multiply complex numbers? And how do you divide complex numbers? In this division part, we'll also understand what is a conjugate of a complex number. These are the only 4 things you need to know. There are basically only 6 things which can be asked to you in the exam. One question is based on the cyclicity of imaginary numbers. Second is based on the concept that sum of any 4 consecutive powers of iota is equal to 0. Third is, how do you add two complex numbers? How do you subtract? How do you multiply? And how do you divide? These are the only 6 things which you need to know. Nothing else is required for this entire chapter. Chapter is pretty straightforward. It's very easy and you can score like 10% marks in this. Okay. Alright, so we're going to take up two complex numbers and we're going to try and understand how can we add, subtract, multiply and divide them. So let's say I have a complex number Z1 which is 7 plus 6 iota, and I have a complex number that is Z2 which is, let's suppose, 4 plus 5 iota. Okay. Very first thing we need to understand is how can we add two complex numbers. How can we add two complex numbers? Now, if you want to add two complex numbers, remember that you'll have to add the real part separately and the imaginary part separately. You'll have to add the real part separately and the imaginary part separately. Okay. So if I'm going to add the imaginary part, 6 iota plus 5 iota is 11 iota. 7 plus 4 is again 11. So this will become 11 plus 11 iota. Okay, there is no such thing as carrying forward. Like if you remember in maths, if I would have asked you to like add 76 with 45, you will say 6 plus 5 is 11. So you're going to write 1 here. You're going to carry over 1. 7 and 1 is 8. 8 and 4 is 12. So this will become 121, right? This is what you do for the basic addition process. But this is not the same thing that we will be doing here. The whole point is you're going to add the real part separately. You're going to add the imaginary part separately. Okay. All right. Let's take a complex, a bit difficult example also, so that things become a bit more clear to you. So 14 plus 18 iota and 23 iota and 10. For example, if these are the two complex numbers. So what is 18 plus 23? I think that will come out to be 41. So this will become 41 iota. And what is 14 and 10? That is 24. So that is 24 plus 41 iota. You're going to add the real part separately and you're going to add the complex part separately. Okay, you're going to add both of them separately. Okay, second thing is subtract. So let's suppose if I ask you to subtract Z2 from Z1, or if I'm asking you to do Z1 minus Z2. So again in this case, you're gonna subtract the real part separately and you're gonna subtract the imaginary part separately. So 18 iota minus 23 iota is minus 5 iota. 14 minus 10 is 4. So this will become 4 minus 5 iota. This will become 4 minus 5 iota. 18 minus 23 is minus 5. So minus 5 iota. 14 minus 10 is 4. So it is 4 minus 5 iota. So whenever you have to add or subtract the complex numbers, you're going to add or subtract the real part separately, or you're going to add and subtract the imaginary part separately. You're going to do both the things separately. Okay, next is multiplication. So let's say I have a number Z1 is equal to 4 plus 5 iota, Z2 is equal to 2 plus 6 iota, and the question is find Z1 into Z2. Question is find Z1 into Z2. So this is 4 plus 5 iota into 2 plus 6 iota. So it's like exactly on the same lines if I were to ask you multiply a plus b into c plus d. If I ask you to multiply a plus b into c plus d, then this will become ac plus ad plus bc plus bd. Okay, you're going to multiply a with c and d separately, and you're going to multiply b with c and d separately, and you're going to add them up. This is what you generally do. That's the same thing you'll have to do here also. There is no difference. So let's go one by one. 4 into 2 is 8. 4 into 6 iota is 24 iota. 5 iota into 2 is 10 iota. 5 iota into 6 iota is 30 iota square. Now what is iota square? Iota square is negative 1. This will become 8 plus 34 iota plus 30 into minus 1. What is 30 into minus 1? Minus 30. Minus 30 and plus 8 is minus 22. So this is minus 22 plus 34 iota. This is minus 22 plus 34 iota. And that's your answer. So addition, subtraction, multiplication are quite simple. Nothing fancy about it. Let's come to the division part. That's important. Okay. Now, before you understand division, you need to understand what is the complex conjugate of a complex number. What is a complex conjugate? Let's try and understand this. It's pretty simple. Let's suppose you have a complex number z, which is a plus iota b. You can also write it as b iota or iota b. It doesn't really matter. It's completely your call which way you want to write it. If someone asks you, like, find out the complex conjugate of this complex number, then you will say that the complex conjugate, which is represented as z bar, will be equal to a minus iota b. Will be equal to a minus iota b. So if the complex number is a plus iota b, then the complex conjugate is a minus iota b. Basically, the bottom line is this sign will change. If it is positive, it will become negative. If it is negative, then it will become positive. So if you had something as a minus iota b, then the complex conjugate of this number is a plus iota b. The sign will interchange. This is basically what it means. Okay, so you can say that z bar whole bar will be equal to z. Anyways, you don't have to go into this much of detail. Nobody's going to ask you this, but you just need to know this. If it is a plus iota b, then the complex conjugate is a minus iota b. If it is a minus iota b, then the complex conjugate is a plus iota b. Let's say, for example, I say that I have a complex number that is 4 plus 5 iota. So you will say that the complex conjugate is 4 minus 5 iota. I say I have 4 minus, or let's take some other number. Why 4 and 5 only? Let's say I have a complex number 6 minus 8 iota. This will become 6 plus 8 iota. If I say I have a number minus 3 plus 4 iota, then the complex conjugate is minus 3 minus 4 iota. The sign which connects the real part and the complex part, you're going to interchange that sign only, that's it. Nothing else. You're going to interchange that sign, that's it, nothing else. The sign that connects the real part and the imaginary part. Alright, now let's come to the division part. Okay, so the question is evaluate one over 2 plus iota, or they'll say that find the equivalence of 1 over 2 plus iota. Find the equivalence of 1 over 2 plus iota, or they'll say that evaluate 1 over 2 plus iota. Now the actual question is, why do you need to evaluate this, or why do you need to find the equivalent form of 1 over 2 plus iota? What I mean to say is that why can't you keep your complex number as simply 1 over 2 plus iota? Like, why do you have to take that step? Why do you need to evaluate it? There has to be a reason behind it. Like, if I have a number that is 1 over 2 plus iota, I would like to keep it as 1 over 2 plus iota. Why do I need to convert it? Why do I need to evaluate it? What's the reason? Why should I take that effort? So the reason is, why do we have to evaluate this, or why do we need to convert this into some other form? The reason is, when you talk about a complex number, the general form of a complex number is real part plus iota into imaginary part. For example, you have 4 plus iota into 6, or you have 5 plus iota into 7. These are all complex numbers. The problem with 1 over 2 plus iota is that if someone asks you what is the real part and what is the complex part of this question or of this complex number, you don't have answer to that. If someone asks you what is the real part and what is the imaginary part of this complex number, then you don't have answer to that. How would you figure out the real part, or how would you figure out the imaginary part of this complex number? Like for example, if I ask you in this question itself, can you tell me what is the real part? No. You do not know. What is the imaginary part? You do not know. So to convert it back in the form of real part plus I into imaginary part, what we have to do is we're going to multiply this complex number by the conjugate complex of its, we're going to multiply and divide this complex number by the conjugate complex of the denominator. That is, what I mean to say is that if z is equal to 1 over 2 plus iota, then what you will do is you're going to multiply and divide by the conjugate complex of denominator. You're going to multiply and divide by the conjugate complex of denominator. So in the numerator, you'll still be left with 2 minus iota. And in the denominator, this will become a plus b into a minus b. What is a plus b into a minus b? A plus b into a minus b is a square minus b square. That is a square minus b square. This will become 2 square minus iota square. This is 2 minus iota divided by 4 and minus of minus 1, because this iota square is minus 1. So this will become 2 minus iota divided by 5, which you can rewrite as 2 by 5 minus iota by 5. Or you can add it in this way also. Plus iota minus 1 into 5. So the real part is 2 by 5 and the imaginary part is minus 1 by 5. The real part is 2 by 5 and the imaginary part is minus 1 by 5. That's the reason why you can't have iota in the denominator, because then you can't figure out the real part and the imaginary part. Okay, so this is more or less the entire theory part of the complex number that you need to know. There are only 6 things, as I've told you. First thing is you need to understand what is an imaginary number. What is the concept of cyclicity of imaginary number? Then sum of any 4 consecutive imaginary numbers is always equal to 0. Then the algebra of complex numbers. These are the only 6 things, nothing else is required. Usually the questions are of easy level, apart from one question which is on the division part. That may be a bit difficult for you to solve. That's it, nothing else. Alright, then let's move to the questions. So pause the video and try this question, please. Alright, let's see how we can solve this one. So what is the value of 2 plus 8 iota into 1 minus 4 iota minus 3 minus 2 iota into 6 plus 4 iota? Alright. So first I'm going to solve this part. So this is 2 into 1, which is 2. 2 into minus 4 iota is minus 8 iota. 8 iota into 1 is 8 iota. 8 iota minus 4 iota is minus 32 iota square. And if I solve the second part, 3 into 6 is 18. 3 plus 4 iota is 12 iota. Minus 2 iota into 6 is minus 12 iota. Minus 2 iota plus 4 iota is minus 8 iota square. Okay, so I can cancel these two. I can cancel these two. Now iota square is minus 1. So this will become 2 minus 32 into minus 1 minus 18 minus 8 into minus 1. So this will become 2 plus 32, which is 34, and 18 and 8 is 26. So this will give you your answer as 8. This will give you your answer as 8. So the value is equal to 8, and that's your answer. Simply had to multiply, and then you simply had to subtract, nothing else. Alright, let's move on to the question number 2. Pause the video and try this question, please. Okay, so it says that iota to the power 2k is equal to 1. What can be said regarding k? Now if you remember that whenever you have iota to the power 4 or iota to the power any multiple of 4, this is always equal to 1. Like iota to the power 4 is 1, iota to the power 8 is 1, iota to the power 12 is 1, iota to the power 16 is also 1. So the bottom line is that 2k should be a multiple of 4. 2k should be a multiple of 4. So 2k should be equal to 4 into n, where n is any integer value. Where n is any integer value. So I can say that k should be equal to 2 into n, which basically means that k is a multiple of 2. K is a multiple of 2. K can be any multiple of 2. And that will give you iota to the power 2k equals to 1. Now when I say multiple of 2, it can be a negative also. Like if you talk about iota to the power minus 4, that will also give you 1. Iota to the power minus 8, that will also give you 1. I'm saying multiple of 2. Multiple of 2 can be negative numbers also. Like minus 2 is a multiple of 2, minus 4 is also multiple of 2, minus 6 is also multiple of 2. Doesn't have to be a positive integer always, okay? It doesn't have to be a positive integer always. It can be a negative integer also. It can be a negative integer also, okay? Alright, so anyways, the answer is k is a multiple of 2. You're gonna get 4 options based on that, so you simply have to mark the correct one. Alright, pause the video and try this one, please. Alright, let's try this one. So I need to find out the value of under root of minus 18 into under root of minus 50. First thing is I'm going to rewrite this as under root of negative 1 into under root of 18 into under root of negative 1 into under root of 50. So iota root 18 into iota root 50. Iota into iota is iota square. Root 18 into root 50 is under root 18 into 50. Iota square 18 into 50 is 900, so that is root of 900. What is iota square? Iota square is -1. So -1 root of 900 is 30. So the answer is -30. So the answer is -30. Alright, pause the video and try this fourth question, please. This will take some time, so please be patient. Try this one. Alright, so I'm gonna solve these two expressions separately. Because if I have 1 over 3 plus 4 iota, again, as I've told you before, that I cannot have iota in the denominator. So I need to multiply and divide by the conjugate complex of the denominator. So this will become 3 minus 4 iota and divided by 3 minus 4 iota. So this will become 3 minus 4 iota. In the denominator you have a plus b into a minus b, which is a square minus b square. So this will become 3 minus 4 iota divided by 9 minus 16 iota square, which is 3 minus 4 iota divided by 9 plus 16, which is 3 plus 4 iota divided by 25, which is 3 plus 4 iota divided by 25. If I have 1 over 4 minus 3 iota, this will again become 4 plus 3 iota divided by 4 plus 3 iota. So this will become 4 plus 3 iota, and again a square minus b square, so that is 16, because, or let me write it this as 4 square minus 3 iota square. This is 4 plus 3 iota divided by 16 minus 9 iota square. So this is 4 plus 3 iota divided by 25, because iota square is -1. 16 minus 9 into -1, so this will again become 25. So the bottom line is that this expression, I'm going to write it here, that 1 over u will simply become 3 plus 4 iota by 25 sorry, it's 3 minus 4 iota, not 3 plus 4. I've made that mistake here also. This is 3 minus 4 iota, sorry. Yep. 3 minus 4 iota divided by 25 plus 4 plus 3 iota divided by 25. Okay, so there was a negative sign here. I made it positive here, I do not know why. Okay, so it's 3 minus 4 iota, it's not 3 plus 4 iota. The second part is correct, you need to have 4 plus 3 iota in the denominator. Okay, so I'm going to remove all this calculations, it's not required now. So I can write 1 over u as, now 25 can be taken as an LCM, and this will become 7 minus iota. 3 plus 4 will be equal to 7 minus 4 iota plus 3 iota is minus iota. So 1 over u is 7 minus iota by 25, which means u is equal to 25 divided by 7 minus iota, which means u is equal to 25 divided by 7 minus iota. And the problem is, again, you have iota in the denominator, you can't have that. You're going to multiply and divide by the conjugate complex. So u will become 25 into 7 plus iota, and in the denominator you will have 7 square minus iota square. So u will become 25 into 7 plus iota divided by 49 minus of minus 1. So u is equal to 25 into 7 plus iota divided by 50. So this here it will become 2 and u will simply become 7 plus iota divided by 2. U will simply become 7 plus iota divided by 2. And this is your answer. So it's 7 by 2 plus iota into 1 by 2, or you can write 3.5 plus iota into 0.5. The real part is 3.5, imaginary part is 0.5. That's your answer. Alright, try one more question. Try the fifth one, please. Alright, so let's try this one. So I have root of negative 3 plus root of negative 9 plus root of negative 16. So this is root of negative 1 into root of 3 plus root of negative 1 into root of 9 plus root of negative 1 into root of 16. So this is iota root 3 plus root 9 is 3, so 3 iota, and this is 4 iota. So your answer is 7 iota plus iota root 3, or you can write iota 7 plus root 3. That's your answer. So these are the types of questions that which you can basically expect in the exam. So the concept is pretty straightforward. You don't need anything more than what I have taught you in this video. Nothing else is required as far as the theory part is concerned. Yes, they can ask you like a couple of difficult questions. They can also ask you easy questions. But yes, the concept which you need to know for this chapter, everything I have covered under this one video. You don't have to know anything else. Nothing else is required. Now it's just practicing questions and that's it. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any concerns, if you have any doubts, if you have any queries, questions, you can let us know. You can either comment that, or you can always connect with us over the WhatsApp, or you can send me a mail also. And if you're looking for any personalized classes, any individual classes for SAT, GRE or GMAT preparation, you can always connect with me. So thank you so much guys. Keep watching and keep learning.